Hi, I'm Danielle Ames Spivak, CEO of the American Friends of the Israel Philharmonic. Good afternoon to everyone on the East and West Coast, and good evening to anyone in Israel or other places. Andrei, it's so good to have you here. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction for everyone on your impressive background, but I just want to start by saying that the impetus for us doing this discussion today is the incredible, what I think is a pretty groundbreaking partnership between the Israel Philharmonic and Aspiration. We're thrilled to be able to say that we're going to be the first carbon neutral orchestra in the world by 2022 with your help. I don't think a lot of people who care about climate change or sustainability also think that classical music has that much to do with it. But today we're going to prove them wrong. So I'll just read your bio. I said to Andrei earlier, we always do like a little pre-talk. It's pretty impressive. So I'm sure everyone watching will agree. Andrei is the CEO of Aspiration, a financial partner that puts its customers, their conscience, and the planet first. Aspiration offers top-rated, sustainable, socially conscious, fossil fuel banking and investing accounts, trusts its customers to pay what is fair, and gives 10% of its profits to charity, which you can imagine how enthusiastic I am about that. Andrei has been working for nearly 20 years to make the financial system more open and fair. He's been an advisor to Fortune 100 companies, including some of America's largest financial institutions, a senior fellow at Harvard's John F. Kennedy School of Government and at the Center for American Progress, a Navy Reserve officer, and a financial fraud prosecutor. If that wasn't enough, also a former White House aide, President Clinton called Andrei a critical part of the team, which brought about the economic successes of the 1990s. At the time, he was the youngest White House speechwriter in American history. Incredible. As the co-founder and president of Democracy Journal, Andrei helped launch the fight for what became the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. His 2000 book, I guess it means the year 2000, The Next Deal, outlined how technology has been transforming the expectations of consumers and citizens, and is also the author of the best-selling The Candy Bombers, about the occupation of Germany at the beginning of the Cold War. Andrei graduated from Harvard University and from the University of California, Berkeley Law School. Wow. So Andrei, tell us how, after doing all of that, you came to start Aspiration. What was that process like that brought you to where we are today?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. Most of all, thank you for your leadership and for the Israeli Philharmonic's leadership. Taking a kind of step and taking the kind of commitment that this organization has is truly historic. And you mentioned what is the connection between classical music and carbon neutral, and maybe there isn't a direct one, except that to me, classical music is a thread to the past and a thread to history. And as the name implies, thinking about not just the here and now, but what has come before us. And when you do so, I think that really does create a sense in you of what is our generation's responsibility. And, as we're playing a piece of music from Mozart that's 250 years old, how do we think about what we're doing right now that's going to allow people 250 years from now to think back on that? So maybe there is a connection, and maybe it's not an accident. But all being said, thank you for what you're doing. We're so honored to be your partners. You asked about how we started Aspiration, and we really started Aspiration thinking about that possibility of creating a platform for action for people and a financial institution that would help them, as we say, both do well and do good. My co-founder, Joe Sandberg, and I have been friends since we were much younger, back in the 1990s. And we had different career paths, but really had a common belief that if people were given the opportunity to make positive impact, through their daily bank account, through their checking account, through their credit card, or through some of the tools and technologies like those that we are using in partnership with the Israeli Philharmonic. That would be an ability for people to think about what they could do to move the needle on really fundamental challenges that we're facing as communities, as a country, and of course, as the planet.
So I want to get into so many things. First of all, I love what you were talking about, reflecting on history in the past. And I mentioned to you, I just got back from Washington, D.C. from this rally against anti-Semitism. And I think what motivates me in the work that we do with the Israel Philharmonic is a lot of the belief that, who are we to disrupt this chain that we've inherited?
Right.
And I think similarly, that's very true with preserving our beautiful natural environment and the world that we're leaving our children to inherit. So
Yeah.
I see so many similarities, and also with Judaism itself, there's such an incredible connection between the value of the natural world and not desecrating the natural world in Judaism. So philosophically, I think we are very aligned.
Yeah.
So can you break it? I have so many great questions here, but I just want you to break it down for people, because what's so incredible about what Aspiration does is that you push back on the notion that we can't all do good, even by doing tiny little things.
Yeah.
So you make tiny things like cents, not even dollars, add up to big change. No pun intended.
Yeah, right.
So kind of explain to everyone how you use a financial services model to not just make, but to ensure that your customers are actually doing good in little easy ways.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's part of what I think we really have always tried to solve for. You mentioned I worked in the White House back in the 1990s and worked for then Vice President Al Gore on the issue that we were calling global warming and trying to get people to pay attention. And we were unsuccessful ultimately to get enough people to pay attention that we as a country would take action. And as the saying goes, change happens slowly and then all at once. And we're in one of these all at once moments now where people are waking up and thinking about the kind of massive change we need to make in order to preserve our lives as we know it for future generations, and that unbroken chain that you mentioned, what we need to do about that. But the problem is, while most people want to do something now, most people don't know where to start, and they don't really have actionable tools, right? Yes, some people can go buy an electric vehicle, some people can put solar panels on the roof. Those are big, expensive, one-time purchases out of reach to many, if not most people. And on the other hand, there's these micro actions that are great and worthy, and we should applaud them. Change your light bulbs to be more energy efficient and so on, but they're not going to really move the needle on the challenges. And that's where Aspiration comes in, is really building ways in which people can have direct, easy, automated impact on a daily basis. I'll give you a couple examples. For our Aspiration Spend and Save account, which is what people sign up for, move from whatever big bank checking or savings account they're using to this Aspiration Spend and Save account, one of the things that we offer is something called Plant Your Change, where every time you make a purchase on that Aspiration card, on that Aspiration debit card, we allow you to plant a tree by rounding up that purchase to the nearest dollar. And so if you're buying a cup of coffee for $4.75, you round up to $5, you're planting a tree. Whatever the size of that roundup is, be it a 1 cent roundup or quarter or 50 cents, whatever it is, every single time you're planting a tree. And it is, as you said, small cents adding up. Each one of those small cents, yeah, are you really going to miss that loose change, either real or metaphorical, that's clanging around? Probably not. But every one of those trees has an enormous carbon impact. We launched Plant Your Change about 14 months ago, and between that program and others and the work of partners like the Israeli Philharmonic, we've planted over 15 million trees. We're now planting more trees than there are in Central Park every single day. And that adds up. It adds up, those one tree at a time for people. It means that for a lot of people who are using an Aspiration debit card or now our Aspiration Zero credit card as their daily card, they're completely eliminating their carbon footprint. And it adds up for each of us as people, and what we each can do, right? And of course, there's the famous teaching that we all think about and remember, that though each of us alone is not going to solve the problem, that doesn't mean that we each don't have a responsibility to do what we can. And I always come back and think about that, because yeah, one person eliminating their carbon footprint isn't going to solve the problem. But if I do it and you do it and your friends and family do it and my friends and family, and we build from there, that's really how we're going to save the planet. And it starts with each of us making that personal decision.
Something I've really learned from both you and Joe is that we unfortunately have come to think that, being financially successful or a profitable company inherently is usually not, or cannot be one and the same with doing good and changing the world and making people's lives and the condition of the world better. And so what you've really taught me and reminded me is that they both can be achieved together. And I think that that's pretty incredible. It's really inspirational. I'm curious how Aspiration's been received. I know that on an individual level, you have so many, people are flocking to you to create accounts, because this is so in line with especially values of, I think, a younger generation for sure. But, how is the financial services industry or media or government, how have you been received? Because you're kind of really changing and shaking things up, and people don't always like things to be shaken up.
Yeah. No, it's a great question, and it's a great point. As I said before, our motto has always been do well and do good. And the idea that it's not do well and do really well, and then on the side you can do some good as well. Nor is it go do good first and foremost, right? And it's really about how those two pieces fit together. And it starts with our customers, right? It's yes, we allow our customers to plant a tree with every purchase. Yes, we allow them to have a positive carbon impact. Yes, we allow them to, as you said before, make sure that none of their personal bank deposits and savings are stop those deposits from going to oil drilling and gas pipelines, and what their money is doing, whether they know it or not, if it's sitting in any of the big banks. But we also say we're not going to charge you the kinds of unfair fees that a big bank offers. We're going to offer you really great cash back. We're going to offer you a great interest rate. We don't want our customers to be sacrificing financially to come do good with Aspiration. We want them to do better financially and to do better for the planet. And to your point, it's the same type of dynamic when it comes to how we as a business are received. There's been a belief for a long time that you can do one or the other, that either you go out there and you make money, and the way to make money is to destroy the planet and cut down trees and drill for oil and all of that, or you can do these nice things that are more do-goody, but that you can't do both. And we've always believed that that's not true. And if people continue to think that's true, then we're in a whole lot of trouble, that we have to be able to do both. And so it's very much the same kind of dynamic for us as a company, where we say, we're going to show the world that you can build a great company while doing right by your customers and doing right by people on the planet generally. And I think that's what we're on a road to doing.
I'll share something personal with you, but also just with, whoever's watching that doesn't know me as well. I started out thinking I was going to go to law school and go into politics. I studied political science a long time ago. And then I went to do a graduate degree in the art world and museum studies at NYU. And the reason is because I started to feel that cultural institutions really impact people even more than political institutions do. But now, about, way over a decade later, I've come to realize we're all so very interconnected. And my interest today in terms of community involvement and philanthropy, involves thinking about what kind of world I want my children to inherit. And I can't just be in the cultural sphere as much as I love it. And that's what I do most of every day. But it has to be being in tune with what's going on in the world and the environment and current affairs and politics, etc. So I think what you represent at Aspiration, at least to me, um, is this idea that you can bring multiple facets of your identity to intersect with each other in a way that, you can be at an institution that, yeah, like, you're starting your first account for your child, like this might be the good place to do it. It makes sense. There's low fees, but at the same time, knowing that you're doing good and also using it as an educational opportunity for your child at the same time, and sharing it with your friends and making that a discussion around the table. So I think what you've created for us is this ability to take, one seemingly straightforward project, and intertwine a lot into it. And that's really exciting to me. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what's next, or is it just let's keep growing Aspiration and getting more people to be using it so that we can plant more trees? What's on the horizon?
Well, look, you're absolutely right. And it's a world right now, maybe it always was, where there aren't firm boundaries. If you're in a cultural institution, in artwork or in music, if you're in financial products and services, if you're in the construction industry, whatever else it is, we can't say you do that and then you try to be concerned about what's happening in our communities and in the planet off to the side. We have to be able to integrate it, because there's so many different ways to offer leadership. And sometimes I worry that we have, over the past decades, put leadership as somewhere else. That's government's job. We're going to do our thing and let them figure that out. Or that's big companies, let those CEOs think about it. And that's not how things work. Real change happens when we're each embodied in a larger pattern of thinking about how do you take action. And so if you're working in an art gallery, that's leadership as well. And if you're doing any of the kinds of things that people who are watching today might do, in each of our roles, we have that power to make a difference. For Aspiration, partly it is just about continuing to get that message out about what we're doing. We have now over 4 million members and we're growing fast. And each day, more and more people are saying, I'm going to take that step. I'm going to leave whatever bank I'm with right now, or switch from whatever credit card I'm using right now to one that's going to be, yes, better for my wallet, but also give me more power to make a positive difference in the world. We're continuing to grow what we offer to our business partners, where it's not really about financial products, but it's about using our tools to allow them to make a sustainable impact and to tell a powerful sustainability story. The Israeli Philharmonic Orchestra is able to go out and help market itself by the actions that you've taken. And there's going to be people out there who are going to become fans and they get excited because of that. And that's true in all these other parts of our lives. We're in this place right now where there's not going to be a year in the foreseeable future in which individuals are not going to be thinking about sustainability when it comes to the places where they're spending their money as consumers and spending their time as employees. And each year that's going to be just increasing more and more. And that means that for Aspiration, there's more and more opportunities for us to be of service and to create a positive change.
No, it's exciting because unfortunately, it can be that we work independently in silos and also just kind of do things because we've always done them that way.
Yeah.
And I hope that our partnership is an example that, the world of finance and business and banking and the world of sustainability and awareness about various environmental issues can also be intrinsically linked with culture and education, which is so what we're about. And we're only going to be better off if we kind of share and not compete and put our minds and our resources and our hearts together And I always say, we're allies and we should be working together. And so when you were willing to take us on as a client and help us get to this goal of carbon neutrality, I was so thrilled because, you deal with much, I would say, bigger entities than us. But I think the fact that you care so much about the Israel Philharmonic, that no one is too small, no institution or no individual or no family can't give back in their own way. I think that should be an example to all of us. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. No, look, it is, the honor is completely ours. And we're so thrilled to have you as our partners. And I say that for Aspiration, I say that personally as the son of a mother whose family came from communist Czechoslovakia and went and lived in freedom on a kibbutz before it ended up in the United States. That ability to be part of that unbroken chain that you mentioned and to see how we continue it in so many different ways is truly meaningful to me and to our company. And so when you talk about leadership, there's going to be other parts of society, be it in the US or in Israel or in the music world or otherwise, who are going to see what you've done and say, maybe we are bigger, but they're showing leadership, so we need to catch up. And that's, that's exciting. And that's what we see playing out in so many different aspects of what Aspiration does every day. So my thanks are to you and to everybody else involved.
And, usually, so we do this once or twice a month, and I really had the privilege. Unfortunately, COVID was the catalyst for us to start doing more digital content, but I've had the privilege of having some really interesting conversations, and others from our board and staff have been the interviewer over the last several months as well. And we never really do a solicitation or ask for a donation. We're really trying to just offer quality free programming online to people from wherever they are to access. But I'm going to do something different today. And I'm going to say, please go to our website, afipo.org. You saw it also in the beginning, the short clip at the beginning where we were promoting our exciting partnership with Aspiration. And create an account with Aspiration. And please tell your friends to, and please tell your kids to, because it costs nothing at first, right, to start it.
Sure.
You can, you can start using it as soon as you want, in whatever, dosage you want to start to dip your feet in. And I know you're going to keep going because it's so wonderful to know that just your regular everyday transactions are doing something good, like planting trees. So please go on to afipo.org and open an account with Aspiration and tell everyone you know, because through that, we are going to make the Israel Philharmonic the first carbon neutral orchestra in the world. And this matters for so many reasons. A, we're so proud about being a cultural ambassador and traveling the world, but we know that there's carbon footprint involved in that. And we hope now that COVID is hopefully improving now, we're going to be traveling again. And also because we see music as being a way to really bring people together, regardless of difference and way of life and background and citizenship and religion. And in some ways, the environment is exactly that too. What else do we share more commonly than that? And so hopefully through the environment and through sustainability and Aspiration and the Israel Philharmonic, we're going to just realize we share so much more than we have difference.
Yeah. No, this is our heritage. Our religious heritage, our cultural heritage, our environmental heritage. And it's up to each of us to pass that on and to be stewards of that. And that's on all of those fronts with what you're doing every day. So thank you for being such great partners. And we think this is just the beginning of a lot of exciting things to come together.
So Andrei, I know you have something to get to. So usually we take some questions from the audience, but I'm going to let you go. But I will say, I'm going to let you go if you agree to come back in a few months. We're going to do a follow-up together. We're going to tell everyone how this partnership that's just been launched pretty recently is going, how we're doing on our progress to be fully carbon neutral. How does that sound to you?
That sounds awesome. I'd be excited to do so and look forward to it, and look forward to continuing the conversation.
Awesome. Take care of yourself. And thank
Thank
you
you.
again so much. We love everyone at Aspiration.
Thank you, Danielle. Likewise.